Thank you for joining Effortless Attraction. My name is Evelyn McAleer. I'm the author of A Life You Want, Effortless, and The Woman's Journey. I'm a life coach, business mentor, and inspirational speaker. And my greatest value is making a difference in people's lives. So I hope through these podcasts, I can make a difference to your life. If you would like to become a paid subscriber to Effortless Attraction, you'll find the link in the main profile. Every subscription makes a difference to my life, and you'll also receive exclusive podcasts. Thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, whoever can get to join in our podcast today. Well, I'm joined by a beautiful lady all the way from Portland in the USA. Her name is Arehn, and I'm going to pronounce the surname as is the pronunciation, McCarty, C-A-R-T-Y, whereas I'm liable to say McCarthy throughout this interview. But Arehn is a spiritual life coach, and what drew me to her was the words, and I think one that I could talk about all day, law of attraction. And she's very much out in the country. I know I'm in the country here myself, Arehn, but I've saw videos of where you're at, and you definitely are well in the woods. So you're very, very welcome here today.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to be here.
When I first started off doing my coaching, that's what was drawn out of me. And I actually put spiritual life coach up on my social media pages, which was scary at one point because I know a lot of people would associate spirituality with religion,
Exactly.
So tell us a wee bit about yourself, how long you've been doing this line of work.
Yeah, the life coaching part is fairly new. It's been about 2 years. I am a New Thought minister, which is has that same distinction where it's not a religion, it's about spirituality. And I was ordained as a New Thought minister in 1993. So it's been a long time that I have been using these spiritual principles that I now teach and coach with.
Well, that's a new discovery to me. I'm always learning. A New Thought minister. And what year were you ordained again? Did you say 1993?
1993.
Wow. So, well, enlighten me. What is a New Thought minister?
New Thought, the premise of New Thought is that there isn't anything that isn't God. So there's one essence, one energy of the entire universe. So there's not something, how this separates us from other religions is that there isn't an entity, there isn't a devil, there isn't something that is making me do something, an evil force that is out rampant in the world. Where what we call evil is really mostly fear-based, right? If you really think about it, I don't know that I believe that there is actual evil in the world. I think it's fear, it's misguidance, it's a disconnect from the universal energy. So what we think of as evil is really just misguidance. And that every person has the same ability to connect with that universal energy. That I don't have to go through someone else and their wisdom to find that truth, and that truth is really within me. And I can use things, spiritual guidance, other people, tools or texts that can help me to get more in touch with that. But really, ultimately, I am my inner guidance is the most important thing to listen to, as opposed to what society is telling me.
Yeah. But I get all of that, what you're speaking about. But it's fascinating. I love having these conversations. And I knew I ain't going to do no big research because I know that this will just flow.
Right.
But I'm so curious. I'm just curious. So the New Thought minister, yes, you're ordained. Is it actually a church or is it an organization?
There are many churches under an umbrella. So the New Thought movement is it's been given the title the only unique American religion, if you put it as a religion. So it started in the US with the Transcendental movement. So Thoreau, do you know the author Thoreau? Emerson, those are the sort of the beginnings of this kind of idea.
And so it's been on the go for quite some time.
It's been on the go, yes, for over 200 years.
Okay.
And it basically looks at, the world religions are all basically coming to the same thing. They have lots of different techniques and dogma about how you do this and how you do that. But really the essence is that this energy that is God has different aspects, and that we can learn about ourselves as human beings in this process by connecting with that, really.
Yeah. And I speak to many people of many denominations, and they don't actually associate themselves with the religion as people that have been ex-priests or Mormons, but again, that the essence is the word that's coming through. Many that have studied theology, the inside, outside, and at the end of the day, I said, do you come to the conclusion that there's only, what are they all saying? Yes, it's one. Everything is one. And whether we go into the spiritual laws, the universal laws, the law of oneness, or we can call it God. So if everything is connected, then certainly everything is a reflection of my own energy. If I'm part of that God divine, does that sit with you at all, Arehn?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Yeah, it's that connection. It's about that connection. And then it all comes down to the same aspect. And, we put the word love, and that's a complicated English word. But really, if you look at all of the world religions, one of the terms that we use in New Thought is that there are many paths to to reach the top of the mountain. There are many, many ways to get there. And so that's what religions are, kind of an explanation of how do we get there to that top of the mountain. And
I think they're a good foundation. I've come to the conclusion, because I was raised Catholic. Now, mind you, every Sunday it was a shouting match to get us to go. And then we had to bring evidence home that we did go. What did the priest talk about today?
Right.
So you had to try and remember something. But I definitely, would you believe, from a young age, when we were at school, when priests or ones would come in and they'd say about getting the calling. And I used to think, what's this calling that people get? Does somebody come to you and say, this is God? And people actually would laugh at me when I say, at 16, I went to my form teacher and said, I wanted to be a nun. Well, it says, Evelyn, you would definitely put a convent on its ear. And for sure, I would have put, they say, Evelyn, you could go from talking about sex to God in the blink of an eye. And I says, but sure, isn't it all energy? It's all the same energy. It's how we perceive every word.
I grew up Presbyterian. But I, from a very early age, 14, I was exploring other religions. So I was going to the Hare Krishna meetings. I was going to the Quaker Friends meetings. I was doing a youth group for the Unitarian Universalists. I did a lot of exploration. I studied with a woman, an Ojibwa, from an Ojibwa nation, which is in the north central United States, a Native American woman for many summers, and in my teens. And so the Native American traditions are also the cycle, the medicine wheel is sort of what is the basis of theirs. And it's the spiral of life, the seasonal change, and how those seasonal change can be reflected in our daily life, but also in our human life, the whole life spectrum. And it's not how simple
when you put it down to that, when you're just on about the seasons, reflecting on it. And I know my partner, my fiance here, Jim, and it's all his reflections is about nature. And and things can be pretty simple when we just say, okay, just follow, just watch, just look, just observe, be part of it. As someone said, religion is the finger pointing to the moon. But then if it's misconstrued that the religion is the moon, that's when, we do things and we take things literal. And sometimes I think that the Bible's that it's not just black and white. You got to read between the lines, or it means something else.
I think it's poetic. I think a lot of it is our images or stories that we can, if we take the time to contemplate, they reveal understanding about the human condition. All religious texts, I think, do that. They're not as straightforward, black and white, literal as we often in religions interpret them to be.
Can I take you back a wee bit, Arehn? You were saying there that you don't believe that there's evil. Now, many a person sitting and saying,
I know.
No, but I get what you're talking about. This is the thing, because it goes deeper than the human, our eyesight, our touch, our taste, our sense, all our senses. It goes beyond that there. And I definitely believe there's the divine spirit. It has to be within us all. But I think sometimes we get so far disconnected from it that if it's all energy, and one must exist in order for the other to exist. That's why I think that darkness has to exist in order for light to exist. But when the thing and the universe and the earth goes a kind of off balance, off kilter, goes one way, is a time then to raise our energies, vibration to the best that we can be, or be the best we can be for ourselves today, and perhaps try and bring about change. I get the point where you're saying it's a word. Do you think people have labeled this as evil? So now we know what evil is.
We are discovering as humans develop something that animals don't have. Like there's no evil in animals. They kill, they fight, but there's not an evil intent in it. We as human beings have free will. We have a choice, and we have an inner guidance mechanism that we can tune out. One thing that I've come into the idea of with addiction, a lot of times addiction is there to help us tune out that voice of God that we aren't wanting to or willing to listen to at the time. And I think that as we listen more to that voice and be comfortable with it, that's why 12-step process, the AA and all of the offshoots of that works so well, is because we're getting in touch with that higher power. That it's really the separation that is bringing, quote, evil into the world. And we can have evil acts, I guess. There are things that are evil acts, but I don't think the person is evil.
Hurt, pains. That's, as we talk about law of attraction, like attracts, like everything's energy.
Yes.
And if we choose to call that energy God, I think sometimes what I've had to be mindful for, you see, once you mention the word God, sometimes people are run high thinking I'm going to go over and hit them over the head with the Bible. Or if I'll say the word universe. So they take maybe that the universe is the planetarium system. I said, but sure, whatever feels right to you.
Right.
I think it was Wayne Dyer had said the word water won't make you wet. It's the way that you'll take it or construe it, whatever feels right.
Yes,
I actually wrote in my first book, when I went to the lady, I had never heard tell of manifesting or law of attraction. And but there was a call, there was a yearning, there was, as you were saying, going to different churches. I too went to that in search of God. God will fix me. God will make all these things better. I'll find God some road. So I thought the only place to find God was church, different churches. And because I lived in the north of Ireland here, you had to be very discreet what church you went to.
Right.
But I remember this one particular lady that when she talked about manifesting or law of attraction, and I asked her, what is that? And she said, well, she told me about a car that she was manifesting and it happened. And I'm like, I thought this is ridiculous. But she told me at the end she bought the car. And I said, well, sure, that's what everybody does. They buy the car. So how are you manifesting this? And she said, no. It was a very unique car, one that you wouldn't see much on the roads, and they were very, very expensive. So she said, put it out there. It's going to come to me at a very affordable price. And that's how it happened. So I
Right.
kind of
Right.
got this. But then I think what the stumbling block then for me was, I said, so what's this universe thing? And she says, it's God. I'm not kidding you. I near dropped to my knees and started on the rosary. Hail Mary for this woman. She actually asked God to give her a car because I couldn't divide the two. We were
Right.
always brought up to thank God, never ask God. And surely you had grounds to ask God for something. If there was somebody sick, please God, would you make
Right.
them better? Or if
Right.
somebody's going through exams, please God, can I get through my exams today?
Right.
And that was about
Right.
it. But don't ask for clothes, for a house, for a car, for a man, for money. So it's
Right.
fascinating when you go, it's the beliefs, isn't it? How we're
Yeah.
all brought up and reared. But the thing is, Arehn, so why do you feel with people that come to you for coaching, they whether they don't believe in existence of God as in a man form, but to feel that they're part of something bigger, that there's something that we're part of it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, even if you look at modern cultural stuff, that you have Star Wars, right? And you have the Force. The Force is exactly the same thing. It's this energy that moves through everything. The Native Americans call it Great Spirit. It's basically the energy that makes up all of us. If you look at science and you go down to the tiniest
Right.
thing that we can explore
Quantum
with the
physics.
quantum physics, we
Yeah.
have that we are, there's energy, it's a wave or it's a form. So we create these forms, which we know are all temporary anyway. Like everything is changed. Everything that we see now will not be here 1,000 years from now.
Sure.
And so that, or 10,000 years, I guess. That's what it makes up everything.
So we're always seeing manifesting as good things because we're consciously
Right.
aware of where we're putting our thoughts and our words and our actions. Now, if it is a very bad day, nobody will ever come and say, guess what I manifested today.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you're like,
that's a really
happening.
good point, because I think that no matter wherever we are placing our attention, if we're focusing on, if we're watching a lot of really disturbing news articles, or we're reading things, or if we're putting our attention on that, that's what we're bringing more of. Our brain has an organ, I guess, called the reticular activating system. And what it does is it filters out and brings you to your awareness the things that it thinks you want, that you're looking for. So if you're in a crowd and you hear it's noisy, but you hear someone call your name, because your reticular activating system is always going to be on the lookout for your name. So if I'm trying to manifest this car that I want, that's unusual, that's hard to find, I'm going to hear anything that's mentioned about that car somewhere else or by someone. If instead, like you were saying with this, what we label good and bad, if my attention is on these darker, more destructive forces, that's what I'm telling my brain to start looking for. And I'm going to see examples of that over and over and over again. But the opposite is true as well. If my attention is on the love of God moving through me and trusting that the universe has my back and that it wants me to succeed too, because I'm made with a purpose. My business name is Soul Print Journeys, and our soul print is the individual uniqueness that we bring. So there has never been a person exactly like you in the world ever, and there never will be. With your talents that you're innately born with your experiences, whether we label those good or bad, whether you want them to happen or not, those have changed you. And your interests often developed from your talents and your experiences, but what you're passionate about. And so I believe that the universe created that situation so that you could be here to make your soul print on the world. Now, we also have free will. We can choose not to listen to that voice that's inside of us and do something else. But when we follow that guidance that we're receiving from the divine, from our inner guidance, to follow that passion, that dream, that interest, that's when we manifest whatever it is that we want. And it feels much more fulfilling to be living a life like that, because we're feeling the sense of purpose that I think we all as human beings desire to feel. We want to feel like we make a difference in the world. That's kind of innate in us.
Well, that's great, because you bring, of course, and that's the reason as why I do these podcasts, that I hope that what we can offer is to make a difference in people's lives. But you've reminded me of someone there. I'm actually going to tell this person now to listen to this podcast. So you've on about our desires, fulfillment, to make a difference. A very successful lady, very high in the, as I said, business world, earning excellent money. Now, she feels that her path, she wants something more fulfilling to her, that she wants to make a difference. There is spirituality with her, but the business head is always kicked in. And this needs to happen by April of next year. There's trust is coming about, but the business part of the head is, no, I need to know. If I could see that, then I can organize myself and work towards it, but I don't know what it is.
Right.
So I'm going to hand this over to you, because I know what I've been working with her on. So what would you advise her? Or anyone that's in that situation?
There is often a leap of faith that needs to kind of happen. And, we can, having a deadline is a little more stressful, but making smaller, trusting things where we're manifesting a parking space, or we're manifesting, something that's a little more simple that we can really go, oh yeah, look at that. There it is. We, a year ago, or not even a year ago, March, we were trying to buy this property that we are living on. And it was way beyond our dream. Like, it's so much bigger than the dream that we had been holding to try to create. But in order to purchase it, the market was going fast. Things get on the market and there's 5 offers the day that it's there. I mean, the world was telling us that this was a very difficult time to purchase a house in Portland, Oregon. And we were also trying to sell the 2 houses that we owned at the same time. And the timing had to be perfect. We had to have the money to buy this house. And yet we also, needed to have a place to stay, to live, to set, and I had to just keep, those fears would come up. This is, how is this going to work? And I just had to keep coming back to the knowing that, if I wanted all of those cogs to line up, that I had to kind of do a little free fall, knowing that it was all going to work out. And I think that really in that knowing that was essential, having that faith that it was going to work out, and staying in that thought. And when the fear came up, I pictured myself in this house, walking down the hall, down the stairs, in the space, knowing that it was mine, that everything came together. And it did. It all came together perfectly. We closed on the second house the day before we closed on this house, and it was all there. But in order to have it all work out perfectly without big gaps of things, I had to let it go and know that it was going to work.
And isn't that sometimes, I say to people, the way that law of attraction works, sometimes it comes down to the wire. It's just, that's where it goes to. And it's like, I'm really going to test your trust here now.
Yes.
And there's parts because I've seen when I've worked with clients go, come on, universe, come on. But it's not in my time. It's not in your time. It's in divine time.
Right. Yeah. There's a story of Moses, he's walking into the Red Sea, and, the soldiers are coming after them, and he's asking God to part the sea. But he was, in the movies, he's standing on the shore. But in this story, he is walking into the water before it parts. Like he is waist deep before the water starts to change. And that I think that's we have to put that faith and have that faith. Having that faith is it does test us. And I think
there you go. I didn't know that about
too.
Moses. When you
Yeah.
God bless you, Moses.
That's where the ministry school comes in. Yeah.
Well, you see, you'd have gone more in depth. I had to strain my ear to listen on odd Sunday. What does he say in the day now? so I can report home to my mother.
Right.
So, Arehn, before we come on here, we're talking. So your surname is McCarty with no H, where I was going to say McCarthy.
Yes.
But you were telling me a very interesting story that your husband's people or ancestors came from Ireland.
Yes.
But because of the pronunciation, and people in Ireland will realize that when there's a H, sometimes it can be silent for a lot of people and it's pronounced as McCarty. So that's how the name was spelled, McCarty.
Right. Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, McCarty. Yeah, we decided that they were illiterate. So when they came to the United States and they're at Ellis Island and they say, what's your name? And they say McCarty. And so they just wrote McCarty. And we did a camping trip to see Newgrange before we had children. That was wonderful. And then we took our boys we stayed in Dublin, and then we came down across the whole bottom of the country.
Well, we're up in the beautiful north. We're up at the top.
It's a place I've always wanted to see, but we have not been that far north. I want to see the Giant's Causeway.
Yeah,
that seems amazing. Yeah.
So that's not too far. But either way, you're not, once you're in Dublin, sure, listen, no worse.
Right. My nephew went to Trinity. He just graduated from school there. Yeah.
See, the difference in America, if we were telling somebody in Ireland it's an hour's travel, they'd be like, oh, geez, that's a bit of travel. But if you're going for an hour, you're like, all right, that's only over the road then.
It's an hour to town for me. I have a small town that I can go to that's 15 minutes drive, but to the city, it's an hour. Yeah.
You are very much you're practically living in a forest, are you?
I am in a forest. Yeah. We have 13 acres. Most of it is old growth. So they're trees that if you put your arms out wide, you could, still not wrap. Like if you had 3 people, you could wrap around the tree. They're
Fabulous.
That big.
Fabulous.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Isn't it a wonderful thing though? I'm sure you find the energy in among it. It's just
it's just amazing. Every day, my husband and I, we've been here. It's like, I can't believe this is our house and we get to live here and look out into the woods. And it's a dream. It was a dream manifestation. It took us 2 years to visualize it. We spent a lot of time with that visualization of what does it feel like to be in this house, to be walking in, to what emotions are coming up, what are we seeing, and to really, I mean, this is what the work that I do with my clients is to really bring that future desire to the present moment. What emotions am I hoping to have when I get that car or that house or that relationship? And to start to feel those feelings now, the excitement, the contentment, the feeling of belonging, all of those things, if you can start to feel them now and get familiar with it, it shifts your fear zone. So your comfort zone, it does not freak out when you start dating someone that you actually like, or you find a property that it calls to you, because you've already been there and it's familiar. It's like, oh, I know this emotion. And then you can step into it. You don't have that
and that's like exactly
jumping into ice water reaction.
You were saying last year it was exactly the same for ourselves here anyway. And I said, we act as though the wish is already fulfilled. I started packing up things. We started buying saucepans and plates, and the house hadn't even showed up.
Yes.
And by the time the house had showed up, there were maybe 20 other people in before, or something. So anyway, because we knew the person we were got to see it first, and we knew them.
Yeah.
And look, I always live, I say everything's an experience. We'll get to experience it for so long. I'm so blessed. I feel so blessed because we're in the country too, that nature has invited us in. I'm part
Yes.
they've invited us in, the birds have invited us into their environment. And it's a blessing. And it's a blessing, as you say, to be able to look out your window in the morning and see the beauty, everything that is given to us for free.
Yeah.
And that's where God is and love is. And it's in all. But I think sometimes when it gets too busy, when it gets too crowded, when it gets too noisy, we can't feel, we can't hear. And we're just basically going on what I need to get, what I have to get, what's next to do. And it's sometimes it's difficult just to be in that space.
Yeah. I think that we get, especially in our current societies and the use of the computer all the time, and the removal of being in a city where you're not in nature, that our systems get kind of hyper activated, and we're in more of the sympathetic state of mind. We're in that the fight or flight, that we're not in that creative mode. So it's really important to settle that nervous system down, whether that's through breath, whether that's through meditation, whether that's just walking in nature, but to calm that down so that we can be in that parasympathetic part of our brain, which is the creative. It's the rest and digest, where we can be open to that guidance from within. That
and the response I have sometimes from people, I can't find the time. I would need to get time.
Yes. And just finding, if you think about the image of sharpening the saw, I don't know if you've heard that story of the person who's, spending so much time trying to cut something with a saw, and all they have to do is take a few moments to sharpen the saw, and then the job is much quicker. But that's the same thing, taking 2 minutes to close your eyes and breathe, to conscious breathing, can completely shift where we are and how we relate in the world. I think it was Gandhi that said if he, he meditates an hour a day, but if he has a really stressful, demanding day, he meditates 2 hours. That the whole day flows so much better. The time opens up to us if we just take that time to sharpen the saw.
Well, fair play to Gandhi. I don't know if I'd be meditating for 2 hours. I would like, that. But it's just
2 minutes, 2 minutes of breathing,
of course,
can really shift.
It's coming down the stairs for me in the morning. Even now, these mornings, to seeing the frost out there, the blessings.
Yes.
It's feeling your feet on the cold tiles, the blessings that I can feel. That there's so much. It's the feeling, as you say. And that cup of tea or coffee that you hold in your hand, the blessings that I have a kettle, that I have warm water, the gratitude. Oh my gosh,
Absolutely.
there's so everything.
Yeah.
We're so blessed.
Yes.
Arehn, I am going to say thank you so much for your time. Now, if someone wants to reach out, you work with clients one-to-one?
I do, and I work in groups as well. I have a few programs that I really enjoy working with clients through. I find that a great structure where they can move through the concepts and their lives transform. Yeah.
All the details I'll put down below. And if you have a website, I'll get the details all below.
So yes, there'll be a website and then a YouTube channel too, so they can watch. I put out a Tuesday video every week that's about 5 minutes of inspiration.
They're lovely because I seen them come up the other day, and funny, I do a Friday live, and then I saw your video afterwards, and they were very, very similar. They were about the same topic, just delivered differently. And that's what everybody does. I think we're all,
I love that.
It's one message, but it's just delivered differently.
Right. We're all unique.
Yeah. As you were saying.
Yeah.
And there we go. The law of attraction brought us here together at this point. One woman in Portland, the other woman in Ireland.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And the blessings of technology. And I really hope that whatever we've discussed today, that it has made a difference to someone's life. And always to believe in yourself, because you are absolutely magnificent. As Arehn said, you are unique. And regardless of what anyone has ever said to you or told you, or where you feel that you're not good enough, you have everything within you to have a life worth living. And I always say, get that fight in you, get that kick back in you, and use your free will to make a difference in your life and the lives of others. I'm going to leave you with the closing words yourself, Arehn.
Question that I always like to ask is, when looking at your life, what would you love? And when we listen to that answer, that is the divine speaking to us, the excitement that we feel about something. So listen to that voice of what we would love.
And so it is. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Arehn.
My pleasure. Thank you.